I sent $6,200 for my sister's baby shower. Later, my son accidentally played a recording. Tell him no kids allowed, his brat will ruin it. He lowered his eyes and said, "It's fine, Mom. I'll just stay home again." I kissed his head, made one quiet call and turned off my phone. By morning, 61 missed calls lit up my screen. The $6,200 hit my sister's account the same afternoon. She sent me the Pinterest board titled, "Evelyn's Baby Shower Aesthetic." I remember because I was at the DMV when I transferred it. I had my headphones in, a screaming toddler behind me, and Claire's text popping up over and over. Photos of floral centerpieces, gold-rimmed plates, and a 3-tier cake that looked more like a wedding dessert than something for a backyard shower. She ended it with a heart emoji and "Can you handle this part?" followed by a Venmo request. "No, please, no, is that okay? Just a digital invoice for $6,000 and change." I didn't ask questions. I sent it. It was her first baby and she always said she wanted me involved. I figured this was her way of showing that. I'd helped her with things before. College tuition once when our parents couldn't. Rent a couple of times. And honestly, I didn't mind. I had the money. I just thought family helped family. 2 days before the baby shower, I was making dinner and Tyler, my 11-year-old, was curled up on the couch with my phone. He likes messing around with GarageBand and sometimes records little songs or animal noises. So when he said, "Mom, who's Hannah?" I didn't think anything of it. I thought maybe he found a random voice memo. He handed me the phone and said nothing else. Just got up and went to his room. I hit play. Claire's voice, clear and sharp. "Make sure to tell Emily no kids. I know she'll ask. Her brat will ruin it. I'm serious, tell her." Then laughter. Another woman chimed in. "Hannah, I think. I will. Honestly, I don't even know why she'd bring him. He's so much." Claire again. "Right. I don't want to spend the whole shower telling him to stop touching things. This needs to be elegant." That word. Elegant. Like my son, my sweet, kind, neurodivergent little boy who never says a mean thing to anyone, would single-handedly destroy the aesthetic of her peony wall. I stood there for maybe 30 seconds before I walked to his room. He was sketching a dog in a superhero cape. I sat next to him and asked if he was okay. He didn't answer right away. Just said eventually, "It's fine, Mom. I'll just stay home again." It wasn't the first time. Birthday parties. Holidays. Group photos he was cropped out of. I'd seen it, of course I had, but I kept telling myself they just didn't understand him. That maybe someday they'd try harder. I kissed his head, told him I'd be right back and went into the kitchen. Called the vendor Claire booked for the garden brunch, because guess whose name was on the contract. Made a few adjustments. Quietly. Then I turned off my phone. When I turned it back on the next morning, it almost froze. 61 missed calls. Voicemails piling up. Texts flooding in. From Claire. My mom. My dad. Even people I didn't recognize. One from a number I hadn't saved. "You're seriously sick. She's pregnant." Apparently, the baby shower didn't go quite as planned. Good. They started calling the minute the sun came up. By 7 a.m. it was non-stop. Texts, voicemails, Facebook messages, even a few emails. Claire's first voicemail was mostly her crying. Real dramatic sobs, like she'd just been betrayed by the love of her life. I could barely make out the words between the gasps, but I heard things like, "I can't believe you do this to me. This was supposed to be special, and you embarrassed me in front of everyone." Then came the shift. By her third voicemail, she wasn't crying anymore. She was angry, telling me I was cruel, that I'd destroyed the most important day of her life besides her wedding, that people were whispering and asking questions and she didn't know what to say, that I made her look crazy. I didn't respond. The rail kicker came from my mom. Her tone was pure diplomacy. "We don't support what Claire said about Tyler," she said. "But canceling the event the day before without warning, Emily, it was too much. For all of us." Then she pivoted to guilt. "Your sister's pregnant. Think about the stress you've put her under. This isn't like you. No one asked why I did it. They just assumed it was petty revenge. No one paused to ask if maybe I was defending my child. And that's exactly why I didn't answer. I made myself a coffee, fed the dog, and logged into the family joint account we'd used for years. It started as a vacation fund when my dad had his heart scare, then turned into a catch-all account for emergencies and shared expenses. I'd added more to it than anyone. Quietly. For years. Birthdays, repairs, groceries for my parents when they were short. I moved everything I'd added into a separate account and took my name off the original. Then I logged into the family phone plan, one I paid most of the bill for, and started a new plan just for Tyler and me. New numbers. Fresh start. I blocked Claire. They didn't stop. By late afternoon, my mom and dad showed up at my front door. They knocked for almost 15 minutes while I sat on the couch with Tyler and watched a documentary about space travel. He was completely relaxed, legs tucked under him, eating cereal out of a mixing bowl. He didn't even ask who was at the door. They left eventually, but not before my dad texted me, "You're better than this. Don't let one mistake burn the whole bridge." But it wasn't one mistake. It was every birthday party where Tyler's name was left off the cake. Every adults-only family dinner where kids still somehow showed up. Just never mine. Every time Claire rolled her eyes behind his back when he talked about his comic books. Every time my mom said he's just a little different, like it was a warning, not a description. This wasn't a snap decision. I'd been holding this line for years. I just finally stopped pretending it wasn't there. A few days later, Claire tried something new. She sent me a message that said, "I want Evelyn to have a cousin in her life. Please don't let a misunderstanding ruin that." She called it a misunderstanding. Not cruelty. Not exclusion. Just a misunderstanding. Then she added, "We miss you. And Tyler. Let's fix this." I read it twice. Still no apology. No ownership. Just more attempts to move on without doing the work. They wanted peace without truth. Reconciliation without accountability. I responded with one sentence, "We're fine where we are." They kept texting. Soft, sweet messages. My mom even sent me a photo of Claire holding Evelyn in the hospital, saying, "You'd love her, Em. She's beautiful. And she'll need her aunt." I stared at that photo for a long time. Then I locked my phone, turned off notifications, and made Tyler and me pancakes for dinner. Chocolate chip. Whipped cream on top. I wasn't going back. 2 weeks of silence should have meant peace. But in my family, silence just builds pressure. You don't resolve things. You wait and then pretend nothing happened when it burst. I wasn't doing that anymore. They started small, texts from my mom like, "Just checking in," and "Let's talk soon." A call from my dad that I let ring until voicemail. Claire tried again too, this time in a longer message. I was stressed, overwhelmed, and hormonal. I didn't mean any of it. Evelyn deserves to know her cousin. Please don't let one stupid mistake ruin everything. Still not a single actual apology. Just explanations. Excuses dressed up as compassion. Then my mom dropped off a letter. A real envelope this time, with my name written in her handwriting like I was being invited to a middle school dance recital. Inside was a pastel card with gold trim and soft script. "Please join us in celebrating Evelyn's arrival. A private welcome brunch for family and close friends." The back said Sunday at noon. Claire's house. Dress code, garden casual. I flipped it over. No mention of Tyler. I texted my mom, "Is this kid-friendly or another elegant event?" She replied immediately, "Don't be like that. Of course Tyler is invited." No specifics. No age note. Just a generic reassurance like always. Tyler saw the envelope later that night. He looked at it for a second, then asked, "Am I allowed to go to this one?" I asked if he wanted to. He shrugged. "I just don't want you to be alone." I didn't sleep much that night. Something felt off, like the whole thing wasn't what it seemed. I wasn't even sure why I was considering showing up. But I didn't want Claire to control the story. I'd given them enough silence already. Letting them write the narrative without me wasn't an option anymore. Then around 10:40 p.m. I got a message from someone I didn't expect. She was Claire's college roommate. We hadn't spoken in over a year, but I guess she was still on the baby brunch invite list. The message was short. "Hey, you didn't hear this from me. But they've got a sign at the brunch entrance that says, 'No kids under 12 please.' Just thought you'd want to know." He sent a photo to. It was taken at night, but there it was. An easel sign next to the balloon arch with big block letters. "No children under 12. Thank you for understanding. Tyler is 11. That was all I needed. I didn't reply. I didn't call. I just closed the message and packed a small overnight bag. At 7:30 the next morning, I told Tyler we were going on a surprise trip. We drove 2 hours out to a town he'd never been to. Rented a little Airbnb above a bakery. We got donuts for breakfast and spent the day wandering through local shops, then hit a museum that had a temporary dinosaur exhibit. He lit up. I hadn't seen him that animated in weeks. We stayed overnight. I turned off my phone for the full 36 hours. When I turned it back on the next evening, my screen exploded. Over 100 messages. Voicemails, texts, group chats, even tag posts on Facebook. The first thing I saw was a live video someone had uploaded from the brunch. Claire standing in her backyard in a pale yellow dress, holding Evelyn like she was the Virgin Mary. Soft music in the background. Guests gathered around her in a semicircle while she gave a speech. "I know not everyone could be here today," she said, choking up a little. "But I just want to say I forgive. I forgive the hurt, the anger, the silence. Because I know we're all doing our best. People nodded. Someone even said, "You're so strong." Then she added, "Family doesn't abandon each other. Not over a misunderstanding. Especially when there's a child involved." Applause. Claire had turned my silence into a redemption arc for herself. But the worst part wasn't her speech. It came later in another video, posted by one of her friends. Hannah holding a mimosa standing with two other women. Honestly, Tyler's probably better off not being here. It's a lot. I mean, it's a baby brunch, not a daycare. They laughed. That video was deleted within the hour, but not before Sasha sent it to me. I watched it twice. Saved it. Didn't say a word. My mom texted that night. "Claire really tried. It was beautiful. I wish you'd been there." Then another, "She still wants to make things right. She even said she wants Tyler to meet Evelyn soon." I stared at the screen thinking how they still didn't get it. They thought this was a standoff. Like we were just waiting to see who would cave first. But it wasn't that. They didn't realize yet that I wasn't playing anymore. After the second video I didn't feel anger. Not anymore. It was something colder. Quieter. Like standing in the hallway of a house that used to be yours, realizing all your stuff had already been moved out while you were still deciding whether or not to stay. That video, the one with Hannah and her mimosa, spread faster than Claire expected. Sasha told me someone else had screen recorded it and shared it in a local moms group captioned, "This is what neurodivergent kids are up against." Shameful. By Monday, Claire's Instagram comments were limited. Her Pinterest board for Evelyn's dream nursery was gone. Even the gender reveal post was deleted. I didn't have to do anything. People just saw what they saw. And still, Claire never messaged me directly. My mother did. Long texts this time. Rambling ones. At first it was concern. Then frustration. Then guilt, like she was trying every emotional key on the ring to see which one would unlock me. She said they had all made mistakes. That they didn't handle things perfectly. That Claire was under pressure and had never meant to hurt Tyler. That family was complicated and everyone needed grace. But never once did she say, "You were right to protect your son." Tyler meanwhile was thriving. He was sleeping better. Throwing more. Talking more. One night while I was folding laundry he asked, "Do you think it's okay if we don't go back to Nana's house ever again?" I said, "Yeah, I think it is." He nodded like that answer was enough. It was. The final straw came quietly. My dad, who'd been mostly silent through all this, asked to meet for coffee. Just me. No Claire. No mom. Just him. I said yes. We met at a cafe we used to go to when I was little. He bought me a hot chocolate even though I didn't ask for it. We made small talk for a few minutes and then he said, "Your mom wants things to go back to normal." I asked what he wanted. He said, "I want to stop choosing between my daughters." That's when I realized he wasn't here for a conversation. He was here for a deal. He told me Claire was having a hard time. That she was feeling ganged up on and isolated. That Evelyn needed her aunt. That it wasn't good for a child to grow up with family tension in the air. Then he leaned in and said, "Just say you overreacted. Even if you didn't, it'll help things calm down." I stared at him. I asked him, "Did you listen to the recording? The one Tyler found?" He looked uncomfortable. Said something vague about context, and Claire not meaning it that way. I stood up and left. I didn't touch the hot chocolate. That night I texted the family group chat for the first time in over a month. No emotion. No threats. Just facts. From now on, communication with me will be through email only. Tyler and I won't be attending any family gatherings, including holidays. I'm done pretending this is fixable. I wish you well. Claire didn't respond. My mom sent a thumbs down emoji. My dad replied, "This is a mistake." Maybe. But it was mine to make. I blocked them all after that. Emails came, of course. My mom sent weekly updates on Evelyn. Photos. Milestones. Just so you feel connected. Claire sent one about how sad it was that her daughter won't know her cousin because of adult egos. I stopped reading after the second week. They kept writing and I kept ignoring. Then about 3 months later I noticed something. There was a birthday party coming up. Not Tyler's, his younger cousin's. We always got invited even if it was just out of obligation. This year, nothing. No invite. No text. Not even a flyer tossed in the mailbox like an afterthought. Tyler didn't mention it. I don't think he even noticed. But I did. I stared at the blank spot on the fridge where their pastel invitation would have been, smiled and went back to making dinner. Peace, it turns out, isn't always quiet. Sometimes it's the silence after you finally stop answering the door. I hadn't heard from any of them in weeks. The last email from my mom was a photo of Evelyn sitting in a high chair, cheeks smeared with cake with the subject line, "She's growing so fast." I didn't open it. I didn't even click the thumbnail. It was like they were trying to casually continue a relationship that didn't exist anymore. No ownership, no apology, just a never-ending slideshow of a life they were building without us, but somehow still expecting us to admire from a distance. Then one afternoon I found a letter in my mailbox. No envelope, just folded and tucked like some teenager's secret note. It was from my dad. The paper was creased at the corners and the handwriting was messier than I remembered. It was 2 pages, written on the back of a notepad from his job, like he'd been thinking about it at work and decided to get it out of his system. There was no, "Dear Emily," just straight into it. "I know things have gotten out of hand and I know you're hurt, but this is your sister. And family doesn't just go dark over one bad stretch. You're not the only one feeling left out. Claire's having a hard time too. She's not proud of what she said. She talks about Tyler more than you'd think. She wants to move forward." Then the second page. "You always said you wanted Tyler to grow up surrounded by people who love him. That hasn't changed. No one's trying to replace you or pretend this didn't happen. We just want you to stop acting like it can't be fixed. Evelyn will want to know her cousin. I hope you let her." Then smaller handwriting at the bottom. "Even Claire said she's open to seeing Tyler. Isn't that something?" I folded it in half and stuck it in the kitchen drawer next to some expired coupons, a broken flashlight and 3 old batteries I still don't know why I kept. I didn't respond. But something about that last line stuck in my head. Even Claire said she's open. Like he wanted me to celebrate that. Like her willingness to tolerate my son in her daughter's presence was some kind of peace offering. As if she was doing him a favor. As if Tyler's existence was a test they were finally ready to pass. A week later, Tyler and I were at his school for open house night. He was showing me his projects in the hallway. One was a poster about sea turtles, the other was a self-portrait made out of magazine cutouts. When a woman came up to us, smiling. She looked familiar, but I couldn't place her. She said, "You must be Evelyn's cousin. Claire told us all about you." Tyler glanced up at me. I didn't say anything right away. The woman went on. "She said you two would be meeting soon. I work with her, she brings Evelyn to the office sometimes. She's adorable just like Tyler." Just like. I didn't correct her. I didn't nod. I just thanked her and walked away. The whole drive home I didn't say a word. Tyler didn't ask. He's gotten used to silence meaning something important. When we got home I checked my email. Nothing from Claire. Nothing from my parents. Just some sale alerts and a newsletter from Tyler's school. They weren't trying to rebuild anything. They were just moving forward with the assumption I'd eventually catch up. Like I was taking a timeout and they'd decided when it should end. And that's when I knew what I had to do. I wrote a final email. Not a rant. Not emotional. Just a quiet, final line drawn in the sand. "Stop. I've been patient. I've been quiet. I've watched you twist this story into something you can live with. Tyler is not a subplot in Claire's journey towards self-awareness. He is not a maybe someday you get to include when it's convenient. I'm done. Do not send me updates. Do not mention him in passing. Do not assume we are part of your future events. You had your chance to love him when it mattered. You chose pretty pictures and peacekeeping. We chose freedom. Goodbye." I didn't wait for replies. I deleted the entire thread. That was the first night in months that I slept all the way through. And then, life just went on. About 3 months went by and in that time nothing happened. No messages. No fake attempts. No drama. Just quiet. And it was the kind of quiet that didn't feel threatening. It felt clean. The kind that settles over everything after a storm you didn't start but refused to let drown you. Tyler and I were good. Better actually. He got invited to a classmate's party at an indoor climbing gym, and I noticed something I hadn't seen in a long time. He didn't hesitate to say yes. He didn't ask if there were going to be rules about who could come, or if anyone had said anything about him. He just asked if we could stop at Target to pick out a card. That night he sat on the kitchen floor with a bowl of cereal, talking about how he finally made it to the top of the wall on his 3rd try. No shame. No second guessing. Just pride. Just a kid being a kid. I didn't say it out loud, but in that moment I thought, this is the life I wanted for him. Not picture perfect. Just safe. Steady. His. Then one weekend I was cleaning out the top shelf of the hall closet, the one I always ignored, and I came across an old white box of leftover party decorations from years ago. Inside were things from Claire's engagement party. Streamers, ribbons, a half-used pack of pink and gold place cards. One of them still had "reserved for Auntie M," scribbled in Sharpie. I stared at it for a second, then threw it all out. The whole box. Just dropped it in a trash bag without a second thought. It didn't even feel symbolic. It felt overdue. That same week I got a random text from an old coworker I hadn't spoken to in almost a year. She said, "So sweet that you finally reconnected with your family. Claire's baby's party looked beautiful. I saw it on your mom's page. You guys are all back together." It took me a second to even understand what she meant. I hadn't seen or spoken to any of them. Then she sent a screenshot. It was from my mom's Facebook. A group photo of Evelyn's 1-year-old birthday party. Pastel balloons. A cake shaped like a bunny. Claire in a white dress. And underneath, the caption. "Grateful to have most of the family together today. We missed a few, but hearts were full, 2 hearts. I looked at the picture more closely. There was no one missing visibly. No empty chairs. No indication I'd ever been expected at all. And yet somehow they'd still made it sound like I'd simply opted out. Like I was invited. Like I was part of it. Like the door had always been open and I had just chosen not to walk through. That was their game now. Rewriting the story quietly. Not with lies, just omissions. Soft edits. Careful framing. Enough to protect their image without ever having to take accountability. I didn't reply to the coworker. I didn't call anyone. I just closed my phone and sat on the couch for a while. It was raining outside. Tyler was in the other room humming to himself while building something with Legos. And then without warning I laughed. Not a bitter laugh. Not even a sarcastic one. Just a real laugh because it was funny. It was genuinely funny that they thought I still cared. That they thought a well-filtered Facebook post could undo months of damage. That they thought people would look at that picture and assume I was the problem when the truth was, I wasn't even part of the story anymore. They wanted a clean narrative. One where I was just absent. One where they were the ones holding things together, loving from a distance, waiting for me to come around. But I wasn't gone. I had just left. And there's a difference. One means you're still tethered, still waiting. The other means you've cut the cord and let it float away without looking back. And that's exactly what I'd done. I stood up, poured myself some coffee and watched the rain. I didn't feel angry. I didn't feel sad. I felt done. No more rehearsing the right things to say. No more wondering if I'd overreacted. No more guilt. Just the sharp, still peace that comes from knowing that, sometimes, the only thing you can do is walk away and refuse to come back. Not out of spite. Out of clarity. Tyler came into the room and asked if we could bake cookies. I said yes. We put on music, danced around the kitchen while the dough chilled and made a mess of flour on the floor. He said I was the best mom ever. I told him I was trying. And that was it. That was family.